Welcome, everybody. I'm Kirk Huffaker. I'm Executive Director at Preservation Utah. Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's what it was when we started.
Thank you. Yeah, when we started, thank you. I was thinking back to 2015, actually, when we did start this project. So it's been a long road, and that's why I'm excited to have you all here for our big day, our ribbon cutting day, here at Arctic Court. With just one quick point of logistics that I was charged with is just to let you know that this street does need to remain open. And so if there is traffic that wants to go back and forth, I just ask that you part the ways and allow traffic to go through. We are allowed to step onto the porches and the lawn across the street. The owners allowed us to do that. And you can, of course, come this way as well. So we just want to respect the neighbors and have everyone's safety in mind. So thank you. So yeah, back to the program. We have a great and very dignified lineup of speakers today. I really appreciate them making time in their schedule. Danny Walls, COO of the Redevelopment Agency, will talk about our Project House partnership. The Honorable Mayor Jackie Biskupski, I really appreciate her being here to speak to our partnership as well. And then Chris Towson, Chair of the Preservation Utah Historic Properties Committee. Thank you all for agreeing to present today. I also wanted to extend a huge word of thanks to the Redevelopment Agency. 15 years ago, when I was in this job, I don't think I would have ever thought I'd be here thanking the RDA for what a tremendous partnership we have. But I think that is a credit to the leadership in the city through multiple administrations, the leadership on staff, to really recognize that part of the power of these neighborhoods is community character. And that character is represented in these historic buildings. And that's an important part to retain in revitalization. And so I really believe strongly that this is one of the greatest partnerships we as an organization have. And I'm really proud to be able to cut the ribbon here with all of them today. There's so many more thanks to be made. I'm going to leave those to speakers that follow me, but I enthusiastically want to share my personal thanks to all of those who also helped contribute to this project. So once a double shotgun house. This is a quintessential example of workforce housing from the period of industrialization in Utah. And it's a great example of what our city formed a long time ago. So where you had large houses that rung a block, and then the interior of the blocks were more smaller housing and workforce housing. You're seeing this disappear more and more across the city. So this is a great way to experience what was happening at the turn of the century and see the preservation of workforce housing. There were dual goals here for us with this house. One goal was to bring this building forward and install modern conveniences and new finishes. That's the part of rehabilitation. The other is to respect historic character and neighborhood character and the heritage of its use as a residence. I believe one of the key decisions in our planning for this project was to set it up as a unique live-work opportunity. So when you go inside, enjoy the fun experience that you'll see that if the future owner wants to use this as a live-work residence, they could. And we had that in mind. With that, I would ask Danny to come up and speak and enjoy the reception today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. Again, my name is Danny Waltz. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Redevelopment Agency, and we're thrilled to be here. As Kirk indicated, the likelihood of a partnership between Redevelopment Agency and Preservation Utah is not one that always comes first to mind when people think of redevelopment, but this is an example of where we really feel that the resources and the power of the Redevelopment Agency come together and align very well with the goals and the objectives of Preservation Utah. And that joint partnership started with a shared person, which is Michael Mahaffey, who served as both a trustee on the Board of Preservation Utah and as a member of the Redevelopment Advisory Committee. And it was through his vision and desire to share the passions of both these entities that the Preservation at Work project began. And it first started through a chance encounter of walking through the neighborhood and finding the Pugsley home. That was the first project within this pilot program. And then it evolved to where we are today with Arctic Court. And we feel that this is extremely indicative of how this partnership can continue to play out, and look forward to continued partnership with Preservation Utah as we look for additional opportunities such as this. This is important for us as we created the West Capitol Hill project area over 25 years ago. This was an objective that we called out within that plan to preserve the fabric of the community to the extent possible, and also find ways to figure out how to interweave that in a new built urban environment and provide services to this neighborhood that were lacking when we created that project area. So we are very excited. We are very grateful for this opportunity. And I'd like to turn it over to Mayor Biskupski to expand on that and the RDA's role as well as that partnership. So thank you again.
Thanks, Danny. So Salt Lake City is truly lucky to be comprised of so many neighborhoods, each of which possesses its own unique qualities that add to its overall character and history. The Capitol Hill neighborhood is no exception, with Capitol Hill's Marmalade District being one of the city's most architecturally diverse residential areas. Projects like this one increasingly important in illustrating the careful balance of our city's growth and its preservation. This is a balancing act at which the RDA has become adept. For nearly 50 years, the RDA has been working to stabilize and revitalize neighborhoods through strategic redevelopment projects, while working with surrounding communities to achieve preservation goals. Guided by the city's preservation philosophy and community preservation plan, the RDA is able to develop older neighborhoods like Marmalade by utilizing both historic preservation and community character preservation policies and tools. This includes the establishment of 7 local historic districts, including the Capitol Hill Historic District, and the adoption of design guidelines that direct the character of building projects in historic districts. Such design guidelines have been essential for the compatible development of the RDA's Arctic Court reconstruction and Marmalade block projects. Much of the new development you see in Marmalade and West Capitol Hill neighborhoods have gone through a design review process that assesses the relationship between the new and that which is already here. This process provides architects with direction on scale, materials, and siting of the building. When I look around at this historic home, the new townhome development that you see behind you, and the modern Marmalade branch of the Salt Lake City Library, I see the evolution of this neighborhood built on securing opportunity to keep it healthy and economically sustainable far into the future. Our neighborhoods are a fundamental part of the success of the city, and I am proud to see what the RDA and partners like Preservation Utah have created here in Capitol Hill. So thank you. And congratulations to this amazing RDA team and to the partnership with you and Capitol Preservation. This has been an extraordinary process and one that we will replicate again. So get ready, sister. And so now for some final comments, one of the project's biggest supporters, Chris Towson, chair of the Preservation Utah's Historic Properties Committee. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor. So first I want to clarify that Chris Towson individually is not one of the biggest supporters, but Preservation Utah actually is. So my name is Chris Towson. I'm the chairperson of the Historic Properties Committee, which oversees the Work Project House and the Rehab It Right programs for Preservation Utah. So the Project House at Arctic Court is a perfect representation of the values of Preservation Utah. The project is a combination of historic preservation through responsible remodeling, education through the Rehab It Right program, and engagement of the public through volunteer opportunities that the project afforded. The result of these efforts is a positive and long-lasting impact on the Marblade, Capitol Hill neighborhood and the community at large. This project would not have been possible without the individuals and organizations that supported this endeavor, and I would like to recognize some of them now. First, the redevelopment agency's leadership staff, including Mayor Biskupski, Chief Operating Officer Danny Walls, and Project Manager Susan Lundmark. The redevelopment agency's board of directors, which is made up of the 7 members of the Salt Lake City Council. Preservation Utah, including David Ammett and Kirk Huffaker. Carl Leith for organizing the Rehab It Right workshops. Janice Benyon, who has donated her time and expertise in helping to secure donations and getting the house to market, as well as cleaning up the house and making it ready for presentation as today. Salt Lake City's Planning Division and Historic Landmarks Commission for their funding of the window rehabilitation Rehab It Right workshops. And I'd also like to thank all of the donors who gave so generously to this project. I want to recognize a person who is integral to the creation of the Project House, the late Michael Mahaffey, whose wife Sherry and daughter Emily are joining us here today. Michael was a champion of preservation in the city. He was a great builder who I was lucky enough to learn from and work with. Michael was once quoted as saying, "We built a new house once, but it was too easy." Most of all, I'd like to recognize David Richardson and the crew at Capitol Hill Construction. This was not an easy project at all, and these guys pulled it off, making it look somewhat easy. We would now like to invite Mayor Biskupski, Council Member Chris Wharton, and Preservation Utah's Kirk Huffaker, along with Capitol Hill Construction's David Richardson, to cut the ribbon on 528 Arctic Court.
1, 2, 3. Let's go check it out.
Let's go check it out.